Did you know that you can take some very basic dried stored goods, such as cornmeal, wheat, and bean flour, and turn it into a nutritionally complete meal? Well, today we're going to introduce you to something called Fameal. Now, Fameal is used by lots of organizations to help feed starving people all over the world, but it also can come in really handy if we ever get in dire situations. And as you'll see later on in this video, really, if you do it right, it doesn't taste too bad.
Hey, Provident Preppers, I'm Jonathan.
And I'm Kylene, and you can thank Jack Goldman 1 for this video, because on one of our other, actually on a couple of our other frugal friendly food videos, he said you've got to try Fameal, and I never even heard of it before. But lo and behold, I went to Wikipedia and it's a real thing. And this is something that is used by all kinds of different organizations to feed starving people all over the world. And just that alone made me think of just mush. And so I was a little bit worried about trying it all. And, you know, actually much to the sorrow of my family, they've been having to experiment with it. And we'll bring the boys back on in just a second and they'll tell you exactly what they really think of this. But it's actually kind of cool. So there are there's 5 parts to this, right? And so you have your grain flour. And for us, we're going to be using freshly ground whole wheat flour. White flour doesn't have the nutrition that you need or the fiber, and so seriously, whole wheat flour would be the best. And you can't grind this really far in advance because it loses its nutritional value. And then there's corn. Now, you could just use cornmeal. We found it to be a little bit gritty, but when I ran this through the grinder, then it made this nice softer flour, and that was really nice. And then bean flour.
Yeah.
And then we have honey, with sugar, any kind of sweetener is a part of it, and oil. The fat is really important. So we need 5 parts of grain, 3 parts of bean flour. You could use lentils or soy. We chose to use white bean flour because we store a lot of white beans. You could use black bean or pinto. We've got pintos back here. It's just going to change the taste more depending on the flavor of the bean, and the color depending on the color of the bean. And then oil, and we used honey so that Ben would eat it, but sugar is just fine in this. Now, when they make it to ship it out for starvation rations, they actually extrusion cook it, and which just cooks it so that once they get it there, they ship it out in big bags, and then it's really easy to add the water and it cooks really quickly. So before that, so if you look back here, this is about a year's supply. Now tell them about this, John, because we're looking at 2,000 calories a day. That's kind of what our goal is, right?
Right, we want to get to 2,000 calories a day. That's maybe on the upper end for ladies, maybe on the lower end for men, but as an average, that's probably pretty good. So we just did some rough calculations to come up with how much we would need, and you can do it by volume, you can do it by weight, there's various recipes, but the idea is that you get this combination of nutrients and calories and get this complete food that really takes care of especially starving people, but anybody who was in a dire situation.
You could survive off this for a very long time because of the combination. A 100-gram dry serving has about 380 calories, but it also has, it's like 14% protein, and it's got the fat in it that you need, and seriously, this will keep you alive. So if you've got survival rations, if you've stored a bunch of dry goods, this is one way that you can use them. You don't have to do it this way at all. Some ways that we've experimented with taste better than others. And part of it's a learning process on my part. Before we get cooking, we want to talk about a 1-year supply, just so that you know, right? If you want to store 6 months, that's great. And quite frankly, for our food storage, we're not going to make an entire year of just Fameal, right? We're not going to do that. We're going to cook the beans in a different way, the flour in a different way. But one of the things I noticed about this combination is it actually satisfies you much better than some of the other baked products. So for a year's supply,
ta-da!
Cheater.
127 pounds of wheat, 85 pounds of corn, 127 pounds of beans, 42 pounds of oil, and 42 pounds of sugar.
So the first thing that we're gonna do is we're gonna get busy cooking some mush.
Who's excited to make mush?
Yeah, let's make mush.
All right, it's not as bad as it sounds, I promise. So what we're gonna do, we have all of our ingredients laid out here. We're gonna start off 3 tablespoons of flour, and then after that, it'll be the 2 tablespoons of cornmeal, and then 3 tablespoons of bean flour, and then we're gonna add our oil and our honey. And really it doesn't matter what order you do this all in, but it should go in pretty quick, because really you're working against the heat here, because if you don't keep stirring and do that, then it'll stick to the bottom, and it'll be lumpy. Another thing, it's best if you put in your honey, if you are using honey instead of sugar, it's best to put in the honey after you've put in the oil. That way the oil has coated the tablespoon, and the honey just kind of falls out a lot easier than it would if you were just, see, look, no honey stuck to the bottom. Always makes life better. And then we're just gonna add a little teeny bit of salt. This is 1/8 of a teaspoon.
Too hot.
We're gonna put in about 1/2 to 2/3 of this thing full. So, doesn't take much at all. All right, so now just to recap, we brought 2 cups of water to a boil. And then we mixed all of the ingredients in. And then now we're gonna put a lid on it and set it aside for about 15 minutes with the heat off. That's really important because otherwise you're gonna burn the crap out of it, and nobody likes it when that happens. So much to our despair over these last couple of weeks, Mom has been experimenting with Fameal. Everything good and glorious in our lives has been messed up with cornmeal and bean flour. So, the first night, actually, I didn't think it was too bad. She made like these Subway sandwich style rolls out of Fameal, put some bagel seasoning over the top, and I actually thought it was pretty good. We ate it as kind of a side dish with spaghetti.
It was okay.
Yeah, I thought it was really good. The flavor was good. The texture was a little different, a little weird, but overall, pretty good.
Yeah, and then the next morning, I woke up like a little kid on Christmas to the smell of muffins, okay? They were blueberry muffins. I sunk my teeth into them, and I felt like I ate a mud ball with extra mud, okay? That's how I felt. It was very gritty, and it was almost flavorless. Once I hit a blueberry, I think that took it from like a 1 on the scale to maybe like a 3. It was like actually bearable when I bit into a blueberry, but that first bite was very uncomfortable.
I actually thought it was okay, but you know.
Ben ate
a lot of them. I was impressed.
He ate a lot of them.
No one else was gonna eat them. Everyone else didn't like them. So.
Yeah. I liked it okay, but it wasn't my favorite.
Yeah. So, and then today, I was changing the oil on my car, and Mom comes up and she's like, "Here, try this." And it looks like, how would you describe it?
Paste.
Paste. That's perfect. It looked like paste. It actually wasn't too bad. It was what we made earlier in the pot. And it was kind of like cream of wheat. And I think with some fruit and some extra seasoning, I actually think it could be pretty good, honestly.
Yeah, the flavor isn't too bad. For me, it was a texture issue, and I've had this issue since I was just a little kid, that lumps and things kind of make me go weird. So anyway, yeah, it was okay, but not my favorite.
Yeah. But anyway, we have a couple more things. We have sourdough bread. We have some kind of a blueberry bar. This is one of Ben's favorite recipes, but like we said, hopes and dreams being crushed as Fameal replaces our normal flour. And then we have some bread over here that was actually made in the bread machine, which we've used in quite a few videos recently. So yeah, we're gonna try some of these things and see how it goes. Oh.
A little piece.
Yes.
You want some of this, Dad?
Sure.
Wait, so what's this?
This is the bread that we made with yeast in the bread machine. Texture's not too bad. The flavor's actually pretty good.
I like it.
So, yeah, this is a hit. This one works.
It's so dry.
It is a little bit more like a cornmeal again, or a cornbread.
Yeah.
But
I do like the normal bread better.
this one? Mm-hmm. And this is a sourdough, right?
No, that one.
Oh, you like this one better? Mm-hmm. Oh, okay.
I think it tastes normal, almost. Not quite, but almost.
Yeah.
And then I gotta try this.
Okay, the sourdough, I'm not as much a fan of. It's a little bit heavier and
A little bit drier.
yeah.
Yeah, I really like sourdough bread, but yeah. I think with some tweaks, actually, the sourdough has a lot of potential, I do think.
Yeah.
Okay, so the breakfast cake actually is pretty good.
I actually really like that.
This is pretty good.
I'll have to try it. But yeah, I did like the, I probably forgot which one it was, but whichever one's not the sourdough. I did like that one. Yeah.
Okay.
But
And
I
that's
think
pretty good.
honestly, I think it has a lot of potential. And if you take the time to tweak it and to figure out what works for your taste and the taste of the people that you're cooking for, it actually could be really, really good. And it'd be really cost effective, especially in a dire situation, a starvation type of situation. All right, so now we're coming back to the way that we started when it came to the food, I guess, section of this video. So we have here our Fameal, kind of in a cereal type of a form. And
Typically known as mush.
couldn't have put it better myself. Okay, I personally am gonna prepare it kind of the same way that I usually prepare my oatmeal. I'm not committing to it, but I do want to give this a try. I mentioned earlier my theory that if you spiced it up a little bit, that it could actually be, that was a little bit more brown sugar than I wanted, but who knows?
Doesn't smell that bad.
So my go-to with oatmeal is brown sugar and raisins. If there's some kind of a fruit, I like to throw that into. Yeah, I'm honestly not 100% sure what to expect here. It is very gritty, and I don't like that. But
So bland.
it's
The only thing I can taste in there is the raisins.
it's not the worst thing I've ever had. So mush form, not good. Unless, I mean, if that was like what you needed to do, it's bearable for the most part. Especially if you can afford to spice it up a little bit.
Okay, wait, I have to break in right here because we're having a lot of negativity about the food. And this isn't supposed to taste like donuts or like cake and some of the foods that we are so spoiled with, right? This is food that could help us survive, that is nutritionally complete, that could make a difference between life and death. And just the knowledge of the ratios where we've got the 5 parts of grain and the 3 parts of beans along with oil and the sugar, the knowledge of that and what it can do for you is really important. So I don't want to leave you with this feeling like this is horrible stuff. Okay, wait, the mush, pretty much that's horrible stuff.
But really it's just that it's new. It's something
No,
that
it's gross.
well, but it's something that we haven't tried before. And of course, what we teach is you learn this now and you play with it so that when you need it, you know what you're doing and you know how to make it, you know, both nutritional and tasty.
And he's right. So if I'm going to have a mush for breakfast, I love oatmeal, right? I love oatmeal. So that's what I would eat in that format. But this flour replacement, right? You could use it to make like dumplings, or you could use it to make gravy, all kinds of different regular food things that might not disrupt the spoiledness of my handsome boys quite so much.
And think about the way that it would bless our community. You know, you may not be eating this a lot, but it would provide the opportunity for some who are really hungry. It would give them that nutrition, the calories and things that they need. So
To sustain life.
Yeah, it's not just about, you know, for us, but how we could share and bless others.
Okay, back to my boys.
Ben really loved the muffins. This bread is kind of like a cornbread, and it's actually pretty good. So, and I did like the little hoagie rolls. Good flavor, a little weird on the texture, but it was good.
Yeah.
All right, and now for the question of the day. What are some other cheap food storage items that you can make? Comment below, and thanks for being part of the solution.